There's this quote by the biologist Edward O. Wilson that I think absolutely hits the nail on the head when it comes to our modern era. He said, "The real problem of humanity is the following. We have Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology." It perfectly captures this crazy tension we're living through right now. We are fundamentally wired for a slow, physical, high-friction world, and yet, literally overnight, we've invited godlike generative artificial intelligence right into our living rooms, our nurseries, and our schools. It's this massive fundamental clash between our ancient biological wiring and our brand new synthetic reality. Okay, let's dive into this because we are not just talking about screen time anymore. So what happens when the machine helping raise your child begins to understand your child better than you do? Think about that for a second. We have officially moved past the era of digital tools and stepped right into the era of synthetic caregivers. And this is a profound shift. It's literally rewiring how human beings develop, learn, and connect with one another. So, welcome to today's Explainer, where we get to explore the absolutely fascinating works of technology theorist Abdi Fattah Azman-Hussein. We're going to do something really cool here. We're going to synthesize his sociological framework from his upcoming book, The Silicon Nanny, with the timeless lessons from his children's fable, Anansi and the Talking Drum. It is honestly an incredible look at how we can anchor our kids in their humanity, all while preparing them for a highly automated future. All right, here is our quick roadmap for this explainer. 1. The Village of Stories. 2. Enter the Silicon Nanny. 3. The Frictionless Nursery. 4. The Infinite Tutor. 5. The Orchestrating Parent. And 6. Protecting the Human Premium. We're moving all the way from analog wisdom right through to a highly actionable framework. Let's get into it. Section 1. The Village of Stories, the Power of the Biological Anchor. Before we even look at algorithms, we really have to look at what human development has relied on for thousands of years. In Hussein's children's book, Anansi and the Talking Drum, a young boy named Kofi goes on this journey to find a lost drum. Along the way, he has to solve riddles, deal with proud rivals, and really rely on his community. The big takeaway here is that wisdom isn't something you can instantly download. It's earned through active listening, collaboration, and what we call ancestral friction. Human development is just meant to be messy. It requires effort, patience, and dealing with other flawed humans to build true resilience. Section 2. Enter the Silicon Nanny, the shift to the age of presence. Now we pivot sharply from that analog village into what Hussein calls the age of presence. And this brilliantly illustrates the contrast. For generations, the tools we handed our kids were inert objects. A wooden block, a printed book, regular old TV. They projected information, sure, but they didn't look back at you. Today, children are interacting with responsive entities. We're talking conversational AI, smart toys, and adaptive tutors that actually listen, adjust to a child's mood, and build emotional rapport. The machine is no longer a passive tool. It's an active presence. Which brings us to Section 3, the frictionless nursery, the dangers of synthetic empathy. Look, having an always-on, perfectly patient AI gives exhausted parents a much-needed break, but it introduces some pretty deep psychological risks by completely stealing crucial developmental struggles away from the child. What I found really fascinating here is this concept of synthetic rapport. Generative AI models are fine-tuned to display incredibly high conversational empathy. They validate feelings, and they use super warm language. But it's an illusion. Because an AI never gets tired, it never gets angry, and it never demands compromise, it conditions kids to expect relationships with absolutely zero friction. The danger is that children might begin to prefer compliant machines over the complex and, sometimes frustrating dynamics of real human friendships. Let's look at how this builds into a much broader issue. The loss of cognitive friction is profound. We absolutely need children to struggle with a physical puzzle. We need them to wait their turn. We literally even need them to be bored. Boredom is not a parenting failure, folks. It is a vital developmental catalyst. It activates the brain's default mode network, which sparks original imagination and inner calm. When a frictionless AI companion instantly resolves that boredom, that mental muscle simply atrophies. Section 4. The Infinite Tutor. Democratizing Genius. But we cannot ignore the flip side of this coin. Back in 1984, educational psychologist Benjamin Bloom identified what he called the Sigma 2 problem. Basically, he found that a student getting one-on-one mastery tutoring performs 2 full standard deviations better than a student in a normal classroom. Historically, that elite level of personalized education was only available to the ultra-wealthy.
Generative AI fundamentally solves this. It acts as a Socratic machine, providing an infinite, perfectly patient tutor to every single child on Earth. It's essentially democratizing genius.
Think about it. These AI tutors adapt dynamically, in real time, to a student's exact reading level and pace. They act as incredible neuro-inclusive allies, bridging disability gaps like never before. They're helping shift the whole model of education away from the old factory method of rote memorization and moving us toward critical thinking and verification. It transforms the student into what's being called a centaur child, half human intuition, half machine processing power, completely capable of hyper-individualized growth.
Section 5, the orchestrating parent. From screen time gatekeeper to cognitive conductor. So the crucial point is, how do we get all the amazing benefits of the infinite tutor without falling straight into the trap of the frictionless nursery? Hussein provides this brilliant family AI audit matrix to immediately translate all this abstract theory into actionable household rules. The goal here isn't passive surrender to the algorithms, but it's also not impossible total prohibition. It's about intentional orchestration. You move from being a screen time gatekeeper who just counts minutes to a cognitive conductor guiding the context. Notice the clear boundaries here. Green light in academics, generating practice quizzes after doing the independent work. Red light, having the AI write the essay for you. Green light in creativity, brainstorming ideas for a physical project. Red light, generating finished artwork to bypass the manual effort. And socially, it's fine to ask factual questions, but treating an AI as a primary personal confidant, that's a strict red light.
To inject what Hussein calls intentional friction back into a child's routine, you can implement these 3 incredibly powerful steps. Step 1 is the 20-minute struggle rule. Kids have to wrestle with a homework problem totally unassisted for 20 minutes before they're allowed to ask an AI tutor. Step 2, the tactile first principle. All creative projects must start on physical paper with a real pencil before going digital. And step 3 is the manual verification habit, teaching kids to verify AI claims using a trusted primary human source. It's all about building intellectual self-reliance. Naturally, this orchestration has to adapt as the child grows. From ages 0 to 6, their environment should be an analog sanctuary, 100% analog, to protect their vital sensory and motor development, meaning conversational AI is strictly prohibited. From 7 to 12, they become a co-creator. That means supervised, task-specific AI used for skill building, right alongside a parent. And from 13 to 18, the goal is to mold them into a critical user, fostering independent ethical autonomy and a deep understanding of algorithmic bias. Which leads us to our final section, number 6, protecting the human premium, cultivating unautomatable traits. So how do we future-proof our children in a tech-saturated economy? The answer actually isn't teaching them to compete with machines. It's teaching them to be profoundly human. As algorithms master text, code, and data analysis, the true value of a human being shifts entirely to these beautifully messy, unautomatable capabilities. Deep moral reasoning, understanding context and justice in a way a spreadsheet never could. Physical resilience and tactile craftsmanship, moving through a 3-dimensional world. True embodied empathy that only comes from engaging in messy, reciprocal human relationships. And originality, developing an authentic taste forged through real, lived human experiences. Which brings us to our final, lingering thought for today. The ultimate challenge isn't stopping technological progress, it's embracing our role as the biological anchor. So I leave you with this. Before we ask what artificial intelligence will become, what kind of humans are we raising alongside it? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Now, go out there and conduct the orchestra.